Dong.
What's up, you guys? This is Robert at Shy Bears Plus. You found us on YouTube, so make sure that you go ahead, you subscribe, you share the video, you hit the like, the little thumbs up right there for it. If you love it, you think it's crispy, leave a comment, and make sure that you smack the bell, punch it, hit it, whatever you want to call it these days. Follow me on Twitter, also at Shy Bears Plus, for all the analysis. If you like dank memes, Instagram, same, at Shy Bears Plus. Along with me is Jeff, contributor. Say hello to the people and plug anything you'd like to plug, sir.
Hello, people. Thanks. It's been a hell of a run. You can follow me on Twitter at Shy Bears Plus. No, that's Bob. You can follow me at Twitter +_shy or 30-second golf lessons or something like that.
All right, get him at +_shy. If you are interested about that other one, and he will shoot you a message back and get you all hooked up. Anyway, what you came for was the Wildcard weekend. Unfortunately, we are going to have to talk about this Bears loss. Bears 15, Eagles 16. I think it might be known as the double dong game forever, or double gong game. I don't know what the exact verbiage is on that, but it's a double-double. We keep it clean here for the kids. But anyway, we both predicted that the Bears would win this game, and I truly, in my heart, thought that we were going to win this game by about 10 or so, and I was trying to figure out the exact number. Jeff had them coming in 26-13, Bears over Eagles, and I had 27-17, so we're kind of in the same ballpark, thinking that the same things were going to happen. Unfortunately, we were wrong. We are going to jump to takes and all the important things and not bury the lead on this show. And we're kind of going in reverse order here. So anyway, we're going to start off with the big story of the week, right? It's going to be talked about for months and months and months. The special teams, Cody Parkey. So he missed that field goal for about an hour and a half after the game. Everyone was all up in arms and all freaking out. Turns out that the defender did get a finger on that ball. In my opinion, I still felt like he was aimed a little bit too far to that left goalpost. I'm not sure that it made a difference. From your analysis today, if you got a chance to look at it, Jeff, did you think that had any difference or not?
Yeah, I do. I think it did have a difference. Okay. If it had more gusto or normal travel speed, it might have held the line. Yes, it might have been a little bit left, but his ball travels pretty straight. So even if he tugged it a little bit, he might have snuck it in there. So it's hard. It's very hard to say. But I don't know if he tried to baby it or if he tugged a little bit and the launch angle was lower, because when he kicked it on that practice one before he got ice, he had plenty of launch angle. They tried to block it. Everybody on that play played it like it was a regular play and there was no whistle involved. So they really tried to block and they didn't come close. He hit it high and straight. So I do think even though it was just a little bit, 10%, 15% of old, sock-legged Parkey over there, it made a difference.
I was watching an interview with him after the game, and he seemed to not know why the ball didn't come back a whole lot. And that comment just kind of rubbed me a little bit wrong, because I don't really feel like he's been playing a lot of fades or draws or anything. Like, he's been hitting them right down the middle, and it's not like he's been hammering them. I feel like he's been just kind of getting them through and not trusting it and hitting them straight. So, man, I don't know. I don't necessarily know if whether that was tipped or not is going to be a big difference on whether or not he is on the Chicago Bears team next year. I don't know if the decision's already been made. In my opinion, I felt like, and you could go ahead and check the receipts on our shows, after the Ford Dawn game, I said bring somebody in just in case, and maybe bring him in a couple of times, and and see if you trust him or not. But in Week 17, I don't know that that's the time where you bring in somebody new and cut a guy who's making $9 million. I think that if we could have a mistake for Pace and Nagy, that might be one for them. maybe not getting proactive on the situation a little bit earlier, but who's to know? That might not have made a difference at all. We could have brought somebody in and he could have missed 17 kicks in the second half. We could have been through 2 or 3 kickers.
That's a lot of possessions.
Dude, I don't know, man. I really don't know how it's going to ride out. I don't know how it's going to ride out with Parkey. Permission to keep talking.
Yeah, as long as it's not about Parkey.
Nope, I'm going to keep talking about Parkey. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to cut him. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't have a prediction. He's not going to miss any more kicks for you this offseason, right? So he's under contract the next year. Maybe you keep him around until the next preseason, bring in another veteran, or bring in some other competition and let them kick it out, or cut him. Salary cap's going up. It's $5 million. It's only going to burn you for a year, and you sign Robbie Gould or you're a veteran of choice, and you just wash your hands of the situation. I'm not sure. I guess I don't get paid the big bucks, but I would probably just get rid of him. If you have a good option.
Yeah, if you are going to get rid of him this year or upcoming free agent class, this is the one to get rid of him. Vinatieri, Gostkowski, Gold, probably the top 3 kickers that you could ask for. I'm not sure about bringing Gold back, but I don't think anybody wants to listen about kickers anymore. It is what it is. I think this is a team loss. Yeah, he should have made that kick, 43-yarder. In this day and age, you expect somebody to make that. But, he's only been at about a 75% rate hitting all of his shots this year. And I think he already made 3, so he was pretty much due to miss.
All right. It's the last show of the season. I hate talking about special teams, and I hate talking about the number one topic of what people are talking on the radio. I try to have some other original things, but I did notice that he did miss the kick in overtime to win the game against Miami, his former team, and then he did miss a kick in the fourth quarter to win the game against the Eagles.
Also his former team.
Cody Parkey was an inside job is all I'm saying. I'm just kidding. No conspiracy there. I just thought it was kind of funny. And I think that both kicking positions should probably be looked at in this offseason. O'Donnell's been really good at pinning the ball, but he is not a mega punter. He is not turning the ball 80 yards. Well, he used to be.
That's what he was saying. They called him Megafoot or whatever the heck they called him. And he just he only had an average of 40. When we needed him a couple times, he hit it off the top of his leg or whatever.
Yeah.
He did not come through, and I think the only reason his average was as long as it was, he only had a long of 49. And a week or two ago, he did bail us out with a couple times, flipping the field, but that was not the case this week.
I would like to move on to coaching and Nagy. Had a couple points on that. The fourth quarter, taking a timeout instead of spiking the ball. I know that was a topic that we kind of batted around. I would have much rather have taken the knee or taken the spike and then have that the down to play with. Maybe you give it to Howard again like you did in the first half. He pounds you 6 or 7. You got a super easy kick. But hindsight's 2020. I see on Red Zone Channel every single game, every single week, 4 or 5 coaches that mess these situations up. I think they all need to play a lot more Madden or some type of a simulator so that they're thinking about this as things are going. It's got to be super difficult. And as a fan, it's very frustrating because you're like, oh, man, just hit select. Come on, let's go. Let's hit the timeout. What are you doing? You're thinking about it. There's a lot of things going in and, play calling and packages and all of that. So I tend to give people a break in those situations. Is that something that you're fired up about, or how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I think my biggest disappointment in this game is in Matt Nagy, up and down. They should have spiked the ball there. I think when the ball was not spotted or after Robinson came down with the ball, there's about 36 seconds left. And you say, okay, to get up in the line, you got 10 seconds. Okay, so now there's 26 seconds left. Right there is where they kicked the field goal from. It was 43 yards. So from 26 seconds left, instead of trying to heave one deep and only Miller could have caught it in the end zone because if you got a tackle, you got short and you couldn't kneel it. Well, if you didn't use the timeout there, you could have did whatever you wanted. A slant across the middle, pick up 15 yards. This is what I was so upset about Nagy because I thought he learned from the past mistakes of settling on the Parkey 53-yarder, and he said something like that, but he settled on a 43-yarder, which isn't a guarantee. and he went for 2 at a weird time. So was that because of trust, or was that because of the score? But my biggest disappointment in this game is Matt Nagy.
I don't doubt that going for 2 had something to do with trust. I mean, I don't know. I don't think that he'll ever come out and say it, but I know that every time they tried him out there, I was pretending like I was confident to try to manifest a made kick, but absolutely not confident whatsoever personally. You know the guy's getting dogged in every single kick that he sends him out there for. You know he's thinking about it. My problem with Nagy was I felt like this Philadelphia defense had a lot of the same strengths as the Minnesota defense, right? Strong up front, great defensive line. You could probably get some yards against these linebackers if you can get to them. And if you use Cohen a little bit more, you could use him in space and outrun some of these linebackers and that out like he ran in for a touchdown last week. And then we could attack these cornerbacks. So they ran so much balance. So where was the solo power plays? Why didn't we, if we were able to do that against them, why did we move away from that? Why did we stop giving carries to Cohen? That's the game plan that we used against Minnesota. I thought we were to come right back out and we would have scored 24 points, 23 points. That was my biggest problem with the whole shebang, the whole deal, the whole enchilada, if you will. I'm not someone who gets fired up. I try to give everyone the benefit of the doubt. I just thought that we kind of attacked things the wrong way. On the other hand, I felt like Fangio on the defensive side, hey, they were trying to get the ball out quickly, so they were playing some man a lot of the time, not all the time, but they did man up quite a bit and get in their face, and they were bringing pressure and trying to get to him quickly, and I feel like they made the adjustment against him. They had a really good game plan. So, and I've been critical of Fangio earlier in the year, not the last half when they were dominating, but before that. Right. So I try to be fair in both ways, but...
No, like I said, it was a team loss.
Sure.
There were so many missed opportunities. The coaches didn't put their players in the best spots to win. They didn't put the best players in. They didn't get their best players the most touches. The same, talking about Fangio, we had there's like 3rd and 11. We're playing man coverage, and then we're scared to get beat deep. And then we get, Foles just takes a 3-step drop, throws off his back foot for a timing route on the out. How many times did that happen? In the first half, that must have happened 3 or 4 times. Quickly to the board on 3rd down, Philly was 6 of 13, one-on-one for fourth down, and they had 2 penalties on 3rd down. So being 6 for 13 on 3rd down against the Bears, inevitably 8 for 13 on 3rd down against the Bears, that really broke the Bears' back. There was some couple opportune times when the Bears, they get out of there in a 3 and out, or even a 5 or 6 and out. There was a couple times where they had a 3rd and long. They didn't get off the field, and that was demoralizing, and the Bears lost the time of possession, and that was one of their key strengths all year.
Was it very close, though?
Yeah, it was like 30 seconds. It was like 30 minutes, 45 seconds or something like that. But, you take away Chicago had 2 scoring drives in the 4th quarter. You take those possessions away. Philly had that 60-play drive to win it, essentially. But it could have been more lopsided if it wasn't for that.
Yeah, sure. And speaking of not getting off the field on 3rd down, there was a couple of situations where I felt like the Amakamura pass interference on that scoring drive extended the play. It was probably ticky-tack. The wide receivers pushing off, he's ahead of them, and you grab them. They both commit a foul there. You either call it on both of them, or you let them play, and because you don't want to be the storyline in a playoff game. And people have told me that I'm wrong about this, and that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and stick with my guts on that one. And also earlier on, just before that, in that same drive where they scored a touchdown, Amos hit Ertz, and he was clearly coming up with his shoulder, trying to hit him with his shoulder, trying to dislodge him from the ball, and their heads coincidentally hit. He did not lead with his head. I didn't feel like it was dirty. I don't feel like it's unsportsman. If he actually catches the ball and has it right there, what are you going to do? The NFL is dumb and broken sometimes in some of these situations, and I mean, that's a 3rd and 6 that you get off the field. And then you get the next penalty, and next thing you know, they're scoring on us. And, I mean, that could have been the game. I'm not trying to blame the referees, but I feel like
huge.
I feel like
they scored on that. They scored a touchdown on that. That was a big drive. I think there was 2 penalties on that.
I think it was back to back, and then they got the Goddard touchdown. I think. Yeah. So I don't know if I'm just noticing it a lot more because we're doing these shows this year, and I'm keep on going. Every time I go, well, this was a game that was cost us. There's a call, it cost a game. This cost us a game. This cost us a game. Or if I'm just overreacting or not, but man, it just seems like the officiating. The rules are dumb, and then the officiating is bad. And it's just all kinds of bad. And then the officiating, the spot with Bush, who just lit up Sproles, and they gave him like an extra yard and a half on the spot. I know during the game you were there. You were calling it out, sitting there at Club D, and it was just unforgivable, the spot. I mean, I'm irate. At the time, I'm like, oh, maybe not. But no, it was bad. And then the delay game, I feel like I see people snap the ball at 0 quite a bit and it doesn't get called. I wasn't as worried about that, so I'll give them the break on that. But officiating, again, bad. And those 2, I thought those were 2 ticky-tack fouls that were called on us that extended that drive for Philadelphia. We cannot get off the field. Do you want to stick with defense or you want to move to offense?
I mean, I'll talk about anything. We kind of talked about the defense not being able to get off the field there.
Yeah.
And how good Philly was. So we can move on to offense.
Cool.
I mean, I thought, just real quick, I thought 94 played a hell of a game. 59 played a hell of a game. I thought the offensive line and the Philly game plan, they schemed really well. And they made the most of their opportunities. And we got pressure. We just didn't get home, and for whatever reason. But you got to give some kudos to Philly. But the Bears' defense played pretty well. They only gave up like 26 rushing yards, something like that. So and held Foles to under
266 yards.
Yeah, I was gonna say Mitch had more passing yards than him,
and a 77 rating, and
Let's talk about the Bears' offense.
Well, yeah. The Roquan interception was awesome. He took the ball away. That's why you draft a guy in the top 10, right, to make big plays in championship-type situations. And that was just a will turnover. I mean, he literally just took it from him. Amos' interception was awesome. He landed a couple big hits. He got fined on one. I really hope that he's back next year. I just really do. I think he's a big part of this defense, and I don't want to see anybody else playing strong safety besides him and Eddie Jackson for the next 3 or 4 years. Make it happen. And the 10-man on the field for the Philly touchdown is kind of my last point on that.
Sure.
I don't know. I don't know how it happens. I saw Amos said that it's not my job to call a timeout. He figured it out. And then just that little bit of confusion was probably the reason why they manned up there, and he took that man and he got burned. But if he was maybe set and they were able to figure out that it was like a trips bunch formation, so those are difficult to defend as it is. And then I don't even know if he was going to be his responsibility anyway. I think he just ran over there and was trying to cover him. I don't know that to be fact, but it seemed like it. The D did a great job. I thought Sproles was going to be a big part of this game. 13 rushes for 21 yards. Ertz only had 5 catches for 52 yards, who usually is their most reliable receiver. And Alshon Jeffrey, 6 receptions, 82 yards. Not quite as good as what Alshon Jeffrey did. But, you see me on Twitter talk about that already. Moving on to the offense. Man, I wish the mood of this podcast here, or whatever we're calling this thing, was just a little lighter, man. But it is what it is.
Hey, maybe if you told the people to slap the bell or tap the bell or whatever you're doing these days, tell them to follow you on all the stuff.
Maybe you should follow me on Twitter at ShyBears. Plus, while you're here, hit subscribe, smack the bell, and leave a crispy comment. Do all of those things. There's a quick little intermission here, and we're going right back to the offense. Dude, I thought Trubisky did enough to win this game. I really did. There was, at the end of the second quarter, he brought you back to get you points in the field goal. So when you needed him, he got you there. Twice in the fourth quarter, he brought you down the field to get you points. A field goal was a touchdown and then a field goal attempt. He did more than enough. He, as far as in the playoffs go, in the wildcard round, he had the second best passer rating at 89.6. only short to Russell Wilson. Fourth quarter, he was 6 of 9 for 115 yards and a touchdown. Brought him within range. What more can you really ask for from a guy that you've expected nothing from, and the guy that you've been bashing, and just to go put up another 90 passer rating game in a playoff game, back to back? I'm sick of the bashing. I'm not saying the guy's going to be a Hall of Famer, but the people who are just... I get so Twitter triggered sometimes going through, like, this guy sucks, he's not this, he's not that. I'm like, if you threw a 4-pick game, like, man, let the guy have it. But I'm not saying he's going to be the best, but he's obviously a suitable quarterback who is at least a game manager and a guy that you can lean on for against bad defenses. And I feel like there's another jump of progression that's going to be happening here shortly. Sure. So I feel like you saw that connection with him and Allen Robinson making big plays and just having the trust factor. He didn't have that trust before. He didn't want to have to throw that deep ball, and he wasn't throwing it with conviction. Now he's hitting those 7 routes, in a hole, dropping in the bucket, and that's going to be something to watch in the future. We might have something special there, but then this offense spreads the ball around, and we take what they give us, right? So you never know if it's going to be, but something is special happening there for sure.
Just what you're saying on Mitchell Trubisky, he is. We're lucky to have him. The whole situation, I think, with we traded up to get him. Not that that's Mitchell's fault or anything. I think that plagues him a little bit. But he's comparable, especially after you see Watson have the game that he had. It wasn't Mitchell's fault by any means. The score of the game or the lack of production. I thought Mitchell played pretty well. I thought he got hamstrung by an ankle injury or something like that decreases mobility. But I also think that the Philadelphia linebackers have a lot of good lateral speed or quickness and could cover sideline to sideline, which kind of prevented Mitchell a couple times from breaking a third down, something like that. But this is a game that Mitchell didn't have a lot of favorites with Matt Nagy. There's so many second and longs that we didn't put ourselves in a good position to succeed.
Yep, and then the pass rush was very disciplined. Staying in their lanes. There wasn't obvious escape lanes. I mean,
stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane. Something I want to bring up from you. Before the game, we were trying to figure out if Burton was to be active or not, and you came to Unit D, and you're like, "What's going on?" Scoreboard Dave's like, "Is this guy gonna play?" I'm like, "Dude, I don't know. All I know is he popped up on an injury report last night with a groin," and Jeff kind of questioned it, and I don't know exactly where you got this from, but before the game, he asked me. If it was, if this was really a groin injury, if something else was going on, or maybe it was anxiety, and man, lo and behold, on the radio, the very little I was able to listen to the radio today, he said that he was doing an interview, and he said that his hip locked up. It's something that happens when his body tries to protect himself, and it gets locked up, and then he was trying to get treatment on it for the next couple of days. And they asked him what kind of treatment, and he said he didn't want to get into the medical treatment. And it felt super suspicious. And so, Jeff, on that crispy prediction, tell me what your thought process was on that, because, man, I feel like you're super right.
Yeah, I feel like I'm even more right now than when I said it or what I thought of it. I actually thought of it early in the morning when I was listening to Hub Arkush, and he was saying... I think it was Hub and Greg Gabriel or something like that. And whoever it was, doesn't matter, excuse me. But Greg Gabriel said that all of a sudden, Saturday morning or whatever, Sunday morning, it came up that he was on the list. And something that came up really quick, it's like, that's what really kind of triggered in my mind. I was like, okay. Then I heard that it was like 5 o'clock in the morning. He was either already at the facility or he contacted the people that he was he had an issue. That was Saturday morning, I believe. And so it was like he was probably restless all night. I'm getting my facts a little confused here, but the more I hear from it, the more that leads me to believe that it was something that he couldn't do it. And when he said he locked up, I think he mentally locked up. He couldn't throw the ball in that. And if you listen to his comments from that was real weird. He's like, I just wanted to leave that moment there and that, which is all fine and dandy, but you're getting paid by one team here, and I don't like to say, because it's not my money. I don't give a crap that Parkey makes $9 million. All right, but you're getting paid by a team, and is it a millennial thing? Is it a new age thing? I'm sure people had anxiety before, Doc Gooden smoking crack, staying in the apartment, missing things, so there is precedent, but I'd like to give the guy a benefit of the doubt, but when somebody like people on Twitter say, oh, what's the precedent of that? He said it himself. He got nervous and he couldn't even throw the football when they wanted him to throw the football. So
right. That was on the Philly special earlier this year, guys.
That's it.
Okay. Yeah. What a weird situation. You hate to see it. You hate the. I'm not trying to. I just want to say that I'm not trying to beat on somebody who might have some sort of a, anxiety problem. We're not trying to pile on them, but it was just a very weird situation, very suspicious, and I don't know what the real story is. Maybe when they make the ESPN 30 on 30 in 10 years about the double dong game. Maybe it'll all come out, but we never know. We'll never know for the time being, unless someone writes a book or something. Another hot take that was pretty hot on Twitter was Shaheen on a 3rd and 8 was tackled by Crevan LeBlanc in the open field, where everyone thought that he should have lowered his shoulder and he had an 80-pound weight advantage and just leveled him over and tried to get the first down. I really didn't have a problem with it. If he makes a cut and gets past him, I think Crevan LeBlanc made an amazing play and took his legs out. I think that was the story of that play. And Crevan LeBlanc made himself some money in this little playoff run in the last couple of games. I think he's playing nickel for somebody full time, and he's not going to be playing around with the practice squad. I think we tried to hide him for a while. There were lots of people who thought that he was a pretty darn good player and couldn't quite figure it out. But you got McManus, you got Callahan. He was kind of third rung, and he wasn't a special teamer. So I guess that's kind of where he was with that, and I'm just trying to rationalize it in my own brain.
I think that play epitomizes the entire game and the demeanor that the Eagles had going into that game, and they kept throughout that game. Jeffrey was very vocal. The Eagles played with the chip on their shoulder. Yeah. They wanted it more. They played like the Bears played last week, and I did get kind of hesitant, like, the Bears, they almost expended too much energy last week and then it's so hard to do that again. I thought the crowd was going to do that, but at the end of the day, it was like, no, they wanted it more. It really seemed like the Eagles did want it more, especially with our lack of dominance on the offensive line, whether that's a Matt Nagy thing and us. We're running. Jordan Howard hasn't ran an outside sweep all year long successfully. That was stuff that we left in the first half against Green Bay, and we brought that out. And we had so much lateral bull stuff, and then we ran so effectively, like you said, with the power running last week against Minnesota. Saul getting into that second level, that kind of stuff. We saw Long and Whitehair getting that second level last week. We didn't see any of that. I thought Long was gassed. I thought Long was gassed in the third quarter. I said that a couple times. Get his ass out of the game, but I doubt that's going to happen. But he was getting pushed back, and it was a travesty, and it was a Matt Nagy loss.
Yeah, I could see that, and I was also critical of Matt Nagy there myself. So I see where you're at. I don't want to see Mizzell get the ball a whole lot anymore. A lot of questionable things. Hey, look, I don't get paid to be an NFL coach. Sometimes.
Why is Josh Bellamy returning kickoffs? Josh Bellamy returned the first 2 kickoffs. He hasn't returned a kick like all year long. We had Anthony Miller doing it for a little bit, and then when we need it the most, we do Cohen, and Cohen breaks off like 35 yards, like the most electric play, non-pass play of the game. It's like,
did they give an explanation? I didn't hear anything about it.
It's just stupid. Why are we giving it to Mizell on a 2nd and 4 in the first drive of the game? why is Cohen getting 4 carries? It's like that kind of stuff. Jordan Howard got 10 carries. Give me a break.
Yeah. Sorry. I got notes everywhere. But yeah, it was like 15 runs to 43 passes or something like that. I think Howard might have had 10 runs and Cohen might have had 1 run. I was calling for a lot more balance again like we had last week. So from there...
We definitely have it.
Excuse me. Is there anything else on your board that you want to cover? Because I'm about out, and I actually don't want to go through all the rest of it. I kind of like to keep this close to about 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's fine. I was just I was a little disappointed in everything I said. I'm trying to look back at my notes here, and it's like everything that Philly needed to do, they did. They kept it close, win the time of possession. They didn't necessarily force turnovers, but they made enough plays and made enough stops, and the things didn't go the Bears' way. Matt Nagy was outclassed and outcoached, and Vic Fangio was a little bit at that. And he, it is what it is. If Vic goes, Vic goes. It's, I hate to say, we needed this win, but you only get to the playoffs so many times.
Right.
And you're there. And you have the number 1 rated defense. And you have defensive player of the year possibly. Or, all this stuff. And you got momentum. And you have a chance to get multiple home playoff games. And you're coming up against a team that you should match up pretty well against. And you blow it. And I don't care what Matt Nagy says about, this team, we're going to learn from this. And this team, you're lucky to have Mitch. It's like, yeah, we are. But you know what? You blew it. And we had a chance to do something special here. Who the hell knows? Minnesota was 12-4 last year or something like that. They barely finished 500. The Bears were predicted to be in last place.
Jacksonville.
They could be definitely in last place again next year. We got so lucky with the injury bug. That happened. Look at what happens. We lost Callahan. We lost Jackson. We lost Burton. We can lose more players, bigger players. Akeem Hicks ain't getting younger, blah, blah, blah. Next thing you know, we're 500. I'm throwing the BU. I'm done with the BU. I'm off the BU bandwagon for 6 months.
All right. I'm going to wrap up my notes then. Nick Foles, he made some good throws. I think that he's going to struggle. The Bears kind of put a blueprint out for if you could man up, which we did. We manned up on their wide receivers pretty well and their running backs, and you try to get in his face. He's going to be all right. He's going to score you 16, 20 points, but he's not going to be putting up the 30 and stuff like that like you've seen in the last couple of games. Vic Fangio, you just brought that up. I just put a note down. I don't think he's going anywhere. I think the whole hullabaloo and the big decision last year was because he was going to spend the next couple of years somewhere, and if whether he wanted to be here or not with his defense. And I think he's married to this defense. I think he's being respectful and taking the calls for the interviews, to be honest. I could be dead wrong. I don't know anything about Vic Fangio. And my final thought was, it was a hell of a season, guys. It was such a good run. So many cool things that came out of it with the boom, the BUs, and the club dub. And it was so magical, and you felt like something crazy special was happening, like, with your Super Bowl shuffle and all those things, right? Where you just had that feeling where that they were going to win the Super Bowl. I mean, I was, barely conscious for all that stuff, not being in my 40s or anything, but you just had the feeling something good was going to happen from expectations that were extremely low going into the season. I mean, I picked 12-4, you had 11-5, but most of the national pundits were expecting nothing. So yes, they overachieved. I was not devastated after this game. I was bummed out, but I wasn't emotional. I saw people saying that they were crying. And if you're going to cry, that's fine. Hey, people cry, dude. I'm not even getting on you for that. But I wasn't at that level at all. I was actually very appreciative of how this season worked out. But I do feel like we did miss a major opportunity because you never know. The schedule turns on you. You said you can get the injuries. But on top of that, you start playing people who are higher in their divisions. So your schedule's going to get tougher. We've seen the schedule next year. Plus, with free agency, you never know. There's a lot of different factors of why teams, and there's so much parity in this league. So you don't want to blow opportunities. But I'm not a Cub fan, and I follow a little bit of the Cubs. I follow the Sox a little bit more. But to me, this season kind of reminds me of the Chicago Cubs before they won the Super Bowl where they overachieved just a little bit. They were a little bit ahead of progress, and they didn't make it to the show, and they didn't win the show, right? But they were able to learn from their mistakes, put the final pieces together, and then make that big run. I'm really hoping that's what's happening here, but I feel like a lot of similarities with that, plus the Madden touch and the club dub and all that stuff. Do you have any comments on that? Because I know I'm just sprung.
No, I do think that's a very, very good comparison.
Okay.
The 15 Cubs, when Addison Russell or Schwarber came up in that second half, and they moved Starlin Castro over to second base, and Schwarber had like 20 home runs in the second half. Yeah, you could definitely see that overachievement there. The Cubs won 95 games that year after being like 500 or less than 500 in 2014. And then they, so if that rings true, the Cubs in 2016 led the MLB in run differential. They like scored the most runs in like MLB history at some point, or they were on pace to. They were like 23-4 to start the season. So you might get a 14-2 season out of the Bears in 2019. That'd be nice to see. I'm really interested, with the Kareem Hunt or Le'Veon Bell. So all is not glum, that's for sure. But when it's there, you got to take advantage of it. And like you said, it was so magical. We had lots of cool stuff happen, and it seemed like we were the team of destiny. But, hey, 31 teams are not going to come home with the trophy, and it is what it is.
My final thought, too, was nothing was going to be given to us. We still were going to have to probably win a couple playoff games on the road, which is difficult enough, but it would sure have been nice to get that first experience of a win in the playoffs out of the way for whatever this run might be in the next couple of years. I'm still disappointed, but nothing was guaranteed. We weren't getting to the ship for sure anyway. So, anything else from you? So I'm gonna wrap it up.
No, you should do. You should do a time lapse, something with like one screenshot from every single video and see how our beards progress. But I'm gonna. Why don't you give us a plug and I'll send us home?
All right. This is Robert at ShyBearsPlus. You got us on Twitter right now, so like this video if you liked it. Thank you so much for hanging with us all season, and thank you for hitting like buttons and smacking bells and leaving comments and all that stuff. We absolutely love it. All the people who shared it, thank you so much. Thanks for following me on Twitter, at ShyBearsPlus. I'm going to try to find ways to make some content over the winter here so that we're all not starved. I know we all want content over the off-season and on Instagram for the dankest memes. It's going to be a little harder to think of some dank memes, over the off-season, but I will try to find a way for you, the people. Thank you so much, and you guys have a great off-season. We'll keep checking in with me because I'm going to stay active on the social medias. And plug yourself and take us home.
Yep. I think I have my username or whatever, screen name, handle, whatever down there. But, hey, a great job this season, Robert. You did call the Bears to go 12-4. I'm proud of you for more than just that. Hey, Shy Bears Plus, that's all she wrote.
And thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank all of you.